Welcome! In this video, you'll use ratios and proportions to choose sample sizes. In other words, if you have a certain number of various groups and you needed to decrease the total number that you have, how many of each group should you then use? For example, 87 women and 78 men who just graduated college all applied to work for the same major international company. However, the hiring manager only has the capacity to interview 120 of them. And of those she interviews, only 60 will be brought on board as new employees. Given this ratio of men to women, what would be a fair number of women and men to invite for an interview? And out of those who are interviewed, approximately how many men and women should be invited to join the company? So think about how you would figure this out. There are 87 women and 78 men who originally apply. What's the proportion of each out of the total? Well, 87 plus 78 is 165. 87 divided by 165 is the proportion of women, which is about 53%. And therefore, there are 47% men. To be quote-unquote fair, statistically, these proportions should carry throughout each stage from interviewing to hiring. So if 120 people are going to be invited to be interviewed, 53% of them should be women. So what's 53% times 120? This is 64. And then the rest would be men. You can do this by either subtracting 64 from 120, which is 56, or multiplying 47% times 120. Great, and then what about the number who are hired? Again, this proportion should carry throughout. But you can also look at it this way. There are 60 people hired out of 120 interviewed. That's half. So you can just take half of 64 and 56. Half of 64 is 32, and half of 56 is 28. And if you calculate those proportions again, you'll see that 32 divided by 60 maintains that proportion of 53%. Great job! Let's now try a more complicated example. Let's say that 44 aspiring artists applied to art school. 17 painters, 12 sculptors, and 15 installation artists. The school only has capacity, though, to accept 20 students each year. How many painters, sculptors, and installation artists might they accept to reflect the proportions of each type of artist who applied? Again, you would calculate the proportion of each type of artist and keep that consistent in the total number who get accepted. 17 divided by 44 is 39%, 12 divided by 44 is 27%, and 15 divided by 44 is 34%. So now if 20 are accepted, we can approximate how much of each type of artist should be accepted by multiplying each of these percentages times 20. 39% of 20 is about 8, 27% of 20 is about 5, and 34% of 20 is about 7. So, 8 painters, 5 sculptors, and 7 installation artists will get into art school. Great job!